Welcome to Saw It Nailed It with Mitch and Ben. Today's project: replacing jointer blades.
Hey guys, we're switching the blades out on the jointer. We thought, well, we should take a video of it because, well, I bought this jointer about a year ago, well, maybe 8 months ago, and I was looking online for videos on how to do it, and there wasn't very many that I thought were proper. So I said, well, maybe we'll make a video here and try and show you guys how to do it. It's a General Canada 8-inch jointer. It's a really nice machine. It doesn't have the helical head, but I've honestly got probably just as good, if not better, results with the straight knives. So you just have to keep them sharp and switch them out. So the first step is obviously unplugging your machine. So I always unplug it, then I try and turn it on, and it's not turning on, so it means I unplugged the right cord. And then the next step is on this guard. There's a spring. You just pop that spring off, and now the guard will no longer keep getting back into the way. So basically we've got the cutter head here. If you look, and you've got these bolts, if you can see that. Those bolts basically put pressure on the blade. And then these two screws here, I'll pull this fence out of the way, adjust the blade up and down. So, and it's got little springs that'll keep trying to push the blade out. So the first step is to take all the old blades out, because I've got new ones. I'm not sure, nope, that's the wrong side. Which wrench it is here? That's the one. I was lucky. So I'll go along and loosen all of those. And we'll pull this blade out and see. So it should just pop out, and there's the blade. I'll pop that off, put it over here. And then this is the clamping mechanism. I cleaned it out last time I switched, so I'm not really going to get in there and try and clean it out again. There's not really a point. So I'm just going to put a little mark on the blade so that I know that I've changed it. So I don't go, I know there's only 3, but you'd be surprised when you're spinning these things around. Sometimes you can forget. So you just center it in the head, and then you've got to set the blade height so that it's exactly in line with the outfeed table. So I'm just going to lower these down because the other blades I think had been sharpened more. These ones are new, I believe. Oh. Stupid thing. Do that. Now the blade's pushed right in. So it's bottomed out there. And I think it's not a bad thing to have the the blade in, you know, as far as, not as far as you can get it. Like, you want to adjust it a little bit up, but you don't want to have it too far out, or else you're gonna have it's just too much of the blade sticking out. It's just not a good thing. It won't cut as clean, I don't think. So we've got that. Now I've got this straight piece of wood, and what we want to do is set that blade so that when I go through the rotation, it just barely moves the piece of wood. So the blade's bottomed out right now, which means my outfeed table, I'm going to raise it up so it's a little bit higher, and then I can adjust the blade up to be at that height. So now the outfeed table got raised and it's just missing the blade, so I'm going to clamp the table there, and that's where it'll be set for the duration of these blades being in there. So the next step now is to get this piece of wood so that these knives are just touching it. Now this piece, if you look down at, where's the camera there? It's straight. It's been machined on the jointer before, so it's nice and straight. So if it rests on the outfeed table like this, and the blade just touches it, that means that the blade at the peak of its height will be right where we need it to be. So that's obviously a little bit too high there. So right there, if I listen really carefully, I can hear the blade touching the wood, but it's not actually moving it. So that's what I'm going to go for, because I find it is the best result. And I'll go to the other side and do the same. Just moving the piece of wood there, and it's the same over here. And now at that point, I'm going to repeat that process for the rest of the blades, and make sure you tighten up all the bolts. All those bolts along there need to get tightened up. Make sure your blade's centered on the cutter head, and then we'll run a test piece through to make sure that it's all working properly. All right. So now that I got them all set, I'm gonna go through and just double check, make sure all my all the bolts are tight. You don't have to over tighten them too much, just enough so that they don't come flying out, and because that would not be a good thing. And also, you never know, sometimes you can overlook tightening something, especially like the critical part like this. And they're all tight, so we should be good to go ahead. Got the outfeed table locked because it should be set to the correct height, since that's what we were using to reference for our blade height. The infeed table, usually depending on what I'm doing, I've got it set for about a 1/16, unless I'm straightening out a bunch of rough boards or something and I really need to take a big crown out of them. But for what we're doing right now, we'll set it maybe a heavy 1/16, and you can gauge that if you come in close here. You can see sort of what you're gonna cut off with how much the wood is off of the infeed table, because the blades are cutting at the outfeed table height. So they're gonna take off right now, like that looks like a little bit over 30 seconds. So I'm gonna back down the table and lift it up. You always want to adjust your cut with a positive action rather than like same as you would do with a hand plane. You want to adjust up to what you want and then lock it. rather than adjusting down and locking it. I feel like it's just a better way, especially with a hand plane. I don't know how critical it is with something like this, but so there we go. We're set for a 1/16 of an inch or a bit less. The blades are sharp, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure the power switch is, everything's still off. I'm gonna reconnect up the guard, slide the fence back over, and we should be good to go. This is the stuff actually my buddy told me about. It's just a spray-on wax, and it works pretty good. Keeps the table nice and slippery, especially when you're milling wood that's not super dry or it's got a lot of sap. We end up doing a lot of fir, Douglas fir, so that stuff tends to gum up your table and whatnot. And we should be square. I'm just gonna grab got a little combination square here, so gonna double check and make sure the fence is square. And it looks good. I spent a while getting it tuned up when I first got the machine, and it stayed where it is. So that's good. We should be good to make a cut.
Nailed it!